The new Freedom 96.9 in Liberty Fest 2026, honoring 250 years of American independence and the 100th anniversary of the legendary Route 66. Find out more at freedom969.com. Freedom
Weather.
Here's your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast. Today will be windy and hot with plenty of sunshine and a few clouds, reaching a high of 96. Tonight will be partly cloudy, windy, and warm with a low of 76. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny, windy, and very warm with a high of 95. Monday will be mostly sunny, windy, and very warm with a high of 96. With your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are solely those of the speakers and other contributors. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of this station. The new Freedom 96.9, Oklahoma's talk radio.
Broadcasting live from the command center of Freedom 96.9 in Oklahoma City, it's McRoof Fortifies, Oklahoma. Saving lives, protecting property, fortifying Oklahoma, one roof at a time. I'm Rick Allen Lippert here with Hague Certified Master Level Damage Inspector, Oklahoma Licensed Public Adjuster, Fortified Evaluator, and IBHS Fortified Roofing Contractor Scott McCullum.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Also here, Hague Certified Wind and Commercial Roofing Inspector Scotty McCullum.
Good morning, Rick.
Retro Radio Randy, still on probation. Why? If you don't know, I'm not going
don't
to
ask.
So we're not going to let him talk this morning, but you can talk to him when you call 405-608-4377. We are live streaming today on the McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma YouTube channel. They just waved at you, by the way. And we're streaming the audio on freedom969.com. We'll start, as usual, with our trivia question and other interesting tidbits, including the word of the week. And this week, it's 5 words of the week. The phone number to answer the trivia question or to just ask a question, once again, 405-608-4377. Later, we'll have Scotty's view from the rooftop and some surviving the storm tips brought to you by Roof RX, and we'll wrap up with Dad's wisdom. Coming back from breaks, some of the most obscure historical trivia you've ever heard. Now, guys, the city is replacing a big sewer main out behind my house. The creek that runs next door. I mean, it's a huge project. It involves probably no less than a dozen houses that back up to this creek on either side.
Yep.
Well, the construction company, not the city itself, but the private construction company crew has cut my internet cable 3 times now in the last 2 weeks. Now, the very nice.
That's frustrating.
Yes, especially when I'm trying to, do business. So a very nice and meticulous cable guy came out again yesterday evening, again after hours, to fix it, and he did it very quickly. But he also said, my dispatcher said to tell you that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 80000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. So it makes me wonder if your attorney is paying the construction crew to cut my cable.
I don't know. Maybe so.
Well, you just went a bit deeper than what I was thinking, Rick. But I was just impressed at the accuracy of the gentleman's relayed message.
Yeah.
When he doesn't know what that even means.
Exactly. Well, he was reading it off the palm of his hand. I was impressed that he got it all down there correctly.
Wow.
Well, if you guys have been watching the national news recently, you will know that there have been a rash of home explosions that have destroyed multiple homes, almost neighborhoods,
right?
Mostly back east.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to figure out, because we have to call and have anything underground marked before we dig, before we drill for a fence post or anything else, has to be marked.
Right.
I'm wondering, particularly back east, I'm wondering how accurate their underground mapping of all of that infrastructure is.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, these huge construction companies and service companies that the gas companies and major utilities use, I guarantee you they're not going out there and digging without those being marked.
Sure.
So is the marking company missing something? Is the mapping totally outdated? What is the issue?
I don't know.
I
I
don't
can
know.
tell you that the first time this cable was cut,
Yeah.
the construction crew chief grumbled and said, well, the cable company is notorious for not marking their lines properly.
There you go.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But the one yesterday was a big orange cable on top of the ground. Orange.
That seems hard to miss.
It really, in fact, I was working in my office and I heard the backhoe
Hey.
fire up.
I think it was intentional. I think the attorney told them to cut that
That's what
cable
I'm-
that they could get Rick his message.
That's right.
There you go.
I'm working it now. I hear
Maybe you weren't listening a minute ago.
I heard the backhoe fire up and I thought, I probably ought to go out there and say, no,
Be
remember
careful.
this big orange cable that's right here that we can all see.
Unbelievable.
And then when I did go out and stood there for probably 10 minutes while this same guy is in the backhoe moving dirt around. Fortunately, it looks like he's doing the final moving of the dirt. He wouldn't even get eye contact with me. God, so frustrating. It made me want to do something. Anyway, enough about my troubles.
Yep.
Let's get to the trivia question, shall
All
we?
right, here we go. So, what percentage of roofs in Oklahoma were impacted by severe hail in 2025? Is it A, less than 20%, B, 21 to 30%, C, 31 to 40%, or D, more than 40%?
If you think you know the answer to that question, give us a call, 405-608-4377. The winner will get their choice of books, either Raving Fans or Unreasonable Hospitality, or 2 free tickets to see Sordid Live.
There you go.
At Carpenter Square Theater, opens on July 10th, runs for 3 weeks. A dark comedy about white trash in Texas.
Now, I'm going to give you trivia players a little help here, give you a little context. The definition of severe hail is hail greater than 1 inch. So
Okay.
hail greater than quarter size is considered severe hail.
Okay, greater than 1 inch.
Greater than 1 inch.
All right. So again, just for those of you who just tuned in, what percentage of roofs in Oklahoma were impacted by hail at least 1 inch last calendar year? A, less than 20%, B, 21 to 30%, C, 31 to 40%, or D, more than 40%. 405-608-4377.
There you go.
All right. So, Scotty, what is our phrase of the week?
I did not come up with this, I will have you know.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Adhesive transfer, and this is in asphalt shingles.
Okay. Adhesive transfer.
Adhesive transfer refers to the process where factory-applied bonding adhesive, self-sealing strips of it that are applied by machines on an asphalt shingle, bond to the shingle to the shingles that shingle in particular overlaps,
Right.
creating a weather-tight seal.
Mm-hmm.
How this works, different manufacturers have their own formulations of asphalt adhesive, but most of them have some sort of polymer in the asphalt mixture to enhance the softness of that asphalt and to also make it more susceptible to, or not more susceptible, to make it
Activate.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Thank you,
Yes.
Dad. To help it activate more quickly when exposed to direct sun and heat.
So this is a beefier, more scientific thing, like when we have, there's a strip that you peel off that you want to put something like on a piece of glass or a tabletop or something?
Yes, a release tape, essentially.
Yeah, a release tape, yeah.
And we do have that very application in roofing. It's just usually with our ice and water barrier products, which we apply in valleys, around step walls, end walls, dormers, chimneys, skylights, any roof penetrations such as something as simple as a plumbing vent stack even, or an HVAC stack through the roof, as well as on mod bit applications, modified bitumen, where when we're doing a low slope roof, whether that's on a small portion of a house or a larger commercial property that has a primarily flat pitched roof or very low slope roof, to be technical about that, all of those products come with a release tape, a release film that has to be, of course, removed prior to laying that product down and then rolling it out with the weighted roller, which is necessary.
The adhesive has always been on asphalt shingles. The seal strip essentially has always been on asphalt shingles. Over the last decade or so, they have become much more robust. There's been a lot of testing on them, been a lot of trial and error to reformulate the adhesive process in terms of how we do this asphalt shingle sealing.
Okay.
What manufacturers look for in terms of a manufacturing defect would be a situation where a significant amount of the shingle adhesive on an entire roof failed to activate. In other words, the temperature level, something happened. It could be dust. It could be something that keeps that from sealing the way it's supposed to. It didn't activate properly. And therefore, what happens when that activates, essentially you create a chemical bond between the upper shingle and the lower shingle.
Right.
If we took one that was properly sealed and went to lift it up, we would literally tear the adhesive that has bonded into the lower shingle. We would be pulling it up in chunks, and we would be able to photograph it to show that, in fact, that shingle was properly sealed.
And that's why a lot of people with wind uplift from this past week and a half, where we've had several windstorms, when wind uplifts a section of a shingle, one particular shingle, I should say, one section of a roof, it's very common to see when the shingles are sealed properly, when that adhesive is properly activated and has been in effect for a long time, those shingles don't pull off as one single shingle. You usually lose at least a handful of shingles, if not more, because of the strong bonding that has occurred between those shingles.
Okay. And with that, we'll take our first break. You're listening to McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma on Freedom 96.9. Our trivia question: what percentage of roofs in Oklahoma were impacted by severe hail, greater than 1 inch or greater, last calendar year in 2025? Less than 20%, 21 to 30%, 31 to 40%, or more than 40%? 405-608-4377.
Every property owner knows the pain of rising insurance costs, higher premiums, higher deductibles, and more exclusions than ever before. You may have even received a non-renewal notice or a letter stating your roof no longer meets our underwriting requirements and your policy will be canceled in 30 days. You don't know the condition of your roof, you're not a roofer, but neither does the underwriter, and they're making decisions that affect your coverage. RoofRx brings clarity to where uncertainty once lived. We're not roofers looking for work. We're certified inspectors dedicated to truth and transparency. We combine state-of-the-art imaging with generations of roofing expertise to reveal the true condition of your roof and maximize its remaining life. We turn complex data into a clear prescription: what can be maintained, what needs repaired, and what needs replaced. We perform and document that work for you and your insurance carrier and provide the peace of mind of lifetime workmanship warranties and money-back guarantees. It's not about replacing roofs. It's about helping you understand the true condition of your roof, mitigate your risk, and protect your insurability. RoofRx, the prescription for your ailing roof.
McRoof Fortifies, Oklahoma, back on the air for this live call-in show on Freedom 96.9. On this date in 1894, American Annie Londonderry set out from Boston to become the first woman to bicycle around the world. No word on how she crossed oceans.
That's what I was wondering.
But she did complete the journey in September the following year. Wow. And then in 1898, Canadian-American adventurer Joshua Slocum arrived in Newport, Rhode Island, completing the first solo circumnavigation of the globe, 46,000 miles in a fishing boat. Not a very big fishing boat either, but he did it by himself. 1898.
That takes some cojones.
Yeah, or very few brain cells,
or both. Yeah,
Rick, they say there's a fine line between genius and insanity.
Yeah, exactly. All right, our trivia question still out there. What percentage of roofs in Oklahoma were impacted by severe hail in 2025? That's 1 inch or greater. Less than 20%, 21 to 30%, 31 to 40%, or more than 40%. Give us a call, 405-608-4377. All right, what did you guys do last week?
Well, I want to button up our conversation about asphalt transfer and sealant strips and things like that.
Because it's fascinating. It's riveting.
Well, there are
to us it is.
There are situations where the sealant as applied by the manufacturer is not going to be adequate to promote the sealing of that shingle on that roof surface. And so there are situations where we have to do what is called hand seal. And hand seal is done, depending on your manufacturer. They will have a specification, a technical bulletin that tells you exactly how they want it done. It will give you a drawing. They will tell you what product they want used. It will give you a drawing, will show you exactly where to place the sealant. It will tell you the size of that dab of sealant and things like that. The reason that's important is that if you glob sealant on an asphalt shingle, that ultimately will blister from the bottom side of that shingle through all the way through the surface of that shingle.
So they've done a lot of testing on this.
These dabs have to be very small. This is not a line with a caulking gun like a lot of these idiots try to apply on a roof and call it hand sealed.
Yeah.
It is done per the technical bulletin exactly the way the manufacturer tells you to do it. Then once you have done that and we've photographed it, then we press the shingle down. We either stand on it or roll it in to promote. Now, if we have a very, very steep roof, if we have a roof over a 20 and 12 pitch, which is getting really, really steep, as Scotty will tell you, if you think about mansards where you've got that vertical surface.
Almost 90 degrees.
Absolutely, every one of those shingles must be hand sealed. And you see mansards as an example, where you'll look at it and you see all these shingles that have slipped, particularly in the summertime, because the shingle gets really, really heavy in the summertime. The shingle
really hot, and the shingle gets hot.
The shingle
and it
is
starts
sagging
to pull through the nail.
Yeah, I said heavy. It's different. So it requires more nails, number one, but it requires that dab of sealant on those tabs applied per the manufacturer to promote that sealant and keep that shingle from sagging. Okay.
You know, the flaw in this whole system that I see is that it requires a man to read instructions.
Isn't that? Yeah. I think that applies to life.
I had a comment on that, and I don't.
Doesn't that apply to life? You know, it's like I've said. You can have the greatest products in the world. All right. And you can put them in the hands of someone that has all the right tools and theoretically has the capability of doing whatever it is you want to do. And if they don't take out the manual from the manufacturer and install that. And here's another thing. Every shingle manufacturer doesn't say exactly the same thing.
Right.
Every one of them, even in CertainTeed's world where we have CertainTeed with all their different, we have pages of instructions for each individual shingle platform. Okay?
The master shingle applicator manual is about an inch thick.
About
180, close to 200 pages.
But it tells you everything that you need to do, and it goes into all these details, and it tells you that if you'll do it this way, then certainty it's going to stand behind you.
Yeah.
That's what we're wanting.
Yeah, sure. You want
Okay.
that.
Well, I thought I might make this my view from the rooftop after after hearing what Scott had to say, but I think, I think I might still make it my view from the rooftop because it's just we might just flow into the view from the rooftop, and that might be a continuous
Well,
flow
tell us,
of
can we
communication.
get up on the roof? Hang on, Scotty.
Oh, man.
All right, Scotty.
I think you already fell off.
I walked in here with a title, and it doesn't
It's
apply
gone.
to this.
Okay, all right.
I mean, this conversation to me about bonding adhesive is extremely relevant to a lot of people around the metro who have sustained wind damage,
Especially right now. Yeah.
wind damage and hail damage from this spring's storms. There's a particular cluster of neighborhoods in South Oklahoma City that have primarily one manufacturer's premium grade shingle on that, and because it's specified by the HOA as being a requirement,
Okay.
there are a few metal roofs of the architectural metal style in these few neighborhoods, but those are rare exceptions that have to be granted specifically on a case-to-case basis by the HOAs.
Okay.
But this particular shingle that is specified in the HOA covenants has been reformulated by the manufacturer, the bonding adhesive. Because you could go to Gaillardia, you could go to Oak Tree, you could go wherever you want to go where there's nice homes with this shingle installed, and you will see nice office parks too. And they've got a ton of wind uplift. You've got on the whole front face or whole west face of the building, you've got missing shingles, the whole slope up. And the reason is the application may not have been installed, the application may not have been performed per specification, but overall, the manufacturer has determined that they needed to reformulate their bonding adhesive.
Yeah, and go ahead.
And there are a number of roofs that have already been replaced, several dozen in my count, in these larger, nicer neighborhoods with this HOA covenant in force, where the old formulation of the shingle has been used as a replacement for what they already had, or for the precursor to that shingle, the predecessor, which was a slate look, another modified slate look shingle by the same manufacturer that was discontinued back in 2017, I believe. And the point is, contractors are not educating these clients about the issues with the
Client
bonding
being
adhesive,
the HOA.
the
the
specific homeowners
Yeah.
and the HOA in this case, because I feel like everybody should have an open conversation about that, or should have access to the same information. But the contractors is where it starts, because we're supposed to be the professionals.
Right.
A professional is not going to put something on someone's property that's going to fail again.
Right.
And we know that because I've seen these roof jobs go on, because I've been called out to numerous inspections in these neighborhoods, I don't see any hand sealing going on.
We know for a fact.
And hand sealing is only a requirement, to be clear, in the in the shingle master applicator manual, master shingle applicator manual, on a slope 21 and 12 or greater. But there's an exception to that, because on this particular case where the manufacturer has not recalled all the batches of shingles that are still out there in suppliers' yards and contractors' yards for use on people's roof projects, they have published a specification for contractors to follow if they choose to install the old format of these shingles, and that is not being followed.
Yeah.
And that leaves a lot of people with a brand new roof that may be prone to new damage because the contractor wasn't doing their due diligence to educate.
Wow. I'm sure we'll revisit this and and conclude after
Scott's eyes are rolling back in his head, so I think
news break.
I think he has plenty to say on this.
McRoof Fortifies, Oklahoma, Freedom 96.9. We'll be right back.
Hear the latest news and trending information that impacts your world on the new Freedom 96.9, freedom969.com, and on the Freedom app, Oklahoma's talk radio. Freedom
weather. Here's your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast. Today will be windy and hot with plenty of sunshine and a few clouds, reaching a high of 96. Tonight will be partly cloudy, windy, and warm with a low of 76. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny, windy, and very warm with a high of 95. Monday will be mostly sunny, windy, and very warm with a high of 96. With your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are solely those of the speakers and other contributors. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of this station. The new Freedom 96.9, Oklahoma's talk radio.
McRoof Fortifies, Oklahoma, back on the air for the second half of this morning's live call-in show on Freedom 96.9. Hey, Scott, I imagine you are as impressed as I am when you see planes doing aerial refueling. How they're able to sync up those planes and stick that line down there and pump fuel from one plane to another. Very impressive. Well, on this date in 1923, over 100 years ago, Captain Lowell Smith and Lieutenant John Richter performed the first ever aerial refueling in a DH-4B biplane in California.
Wow.
And then on this date in 1929, I love this, 1929, Bell Laboratories demonstrated color TV for the first time. 1929.
Yep.
I mean, TV wasn't, we didn't even have TV in 1929. And Bell Labs.
That seems kind of funny.
Yeah, well. All right, so McRoof Fortifies, Oklahoma. Like I said, the second half of the live show. Our trivia question still out there. What percentage of roofs in Oklahoma were impacted by severe hail in 2025? That's 1 inch or greater. Less than 20% of the homes, 21 to 30%, 31 to 40, or more than 40%. 405-608-4377.
So I want to button this conversation up, and I want to make it a little bit more blatant for people out there listening.
And we're talking about adhesive on shingles.
We are, and we're talking. Scotty was talking about a particular high-end luxury shingle. This is a slate look. This is CertainTeed's Belmont shingle in a number of neighborhoods, typically higher-end neighborhoods all over Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Significant number of wind failures on that roof recently. CertainTeed it says they are not experiencing that same thing.
I was intentionally leaving the manufacturer
I
out for
understand.
people
Well,
to.
but there's
for people
no
to
there's
come
no
to their
reason
own
to,
conclusions.
because I want people to know that if this is the path you're going, you need to be asking some questions. So
I agree.
CertainTeed understood that there was something here, so they've formulated the sealant and have a new generation, which is going to be available in distribution in Oklahoma City in the next couple of weeks. Will be
Okay.
available for people. The existing stock of Belmont is still in yards for distributors to sell. We've installed Belmont roofs recently, but when we install a Belmont roof, number one, we install it per the shingle applicator's manual, and number two, we hand seal it in accordance with the technical bulletin on hand sealing.
Okay.
So
Which has
our
become
clients,
an addendum, if you will, to the original specifications on that Belmont application.
So our clients will not have any issues with the roofs that we've installed with the old formulation. The roofs that we've watched going on in some of these nicer neighborhoods in Oklahoma City are almost certain to repeat the failures of the past. And that is very, very sad. And that's because the contractors are not either versed in or really paying attention to what's going on, and they're kind of taking the easy way out. Who's going to pay the price for that ultimately? The consumers and, unfortunately, the insurance carriers.
And everybody in the state of Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because of premium increases.
Right.
Because
Okay.
of
Right.
loss
So,
ratios.
Anyway, that's enough on that.
Because some of these guys aren't reading the instructions.
Well, I'm not gonna. I'm not.
A lot of
say
them.
it.
Well, it's a difference, Rick, to read and ignore versus to not read at all or to not know.
Right.
There's ignorance. That's a willful thing, and there's not knowing.
You know,
some don't know and they don't want to know because they want to stay doing what they've
that's
always
the way
done.
they've always done things.
Yes,
you know, the
yes.
beauty of where we are today. When we have in a CertainTeed world, we have a shingle applicators manual, as Scotty said, a very detailed for every specific line for the SA products, for the flat roofs, for everything that you would do. Different details like turret details, very complicated things, flashing details, everything is there. That manual is available in Spanish. It's available in French. It's available in a number of different languages. Okay,
Spanish, French, and English primarily.
So what we will do is we'll take and we'll actually download that and give it to the project guy and the crew lead. Okay. And they're going to go through that, and they understand that before they ever get started on the roof. And then we validate and document photographically that that's the way the roof is being installed. So.
Because there are some details that we don't run into but once every blue moon, and that is really where that comes into play. Is most of it's
routine.
Reflashing a chimney. They do that every day.
Yeah.
Most of it's reflashing a step wall or an end
although
wall.
flashing is not the same size for every shingle, because
Correct.
the size of your flashing, the length of your flashing is relative to the exposure of your shingle. So you go from a 5 and 5/8, 5 3/4 exposure shingle where you're using a 6-inch step flashing to now you go to a Belmont shingle or a Grand Manor shingle. Now you're using an 8-inch step flashing. So again,
I'm glad you know all of that because my eyes just glassed
we
over.
do know all that. The devil's in the details, and this is where consumers need to start asking contractors questions.
Yeah.
And when it comes to an HOA, like what I mentioned before, in several of these neighborhoods, I am a little disappointed because I've had conversations with direct customers of ours in these neighborhoods who have had us out to inspect, and when we're giving them options to replace the roof with the metal options that are available that have been allowed in those neighborhoods, or the Grand Manor or Belmont shingles from CertainTeed's line, I think that the HOA should be at the forefront of trying to educate their homeowners
Right.
about this reformulation of the Belmont product specifically, because that's what 90% of these people are going to go back with. But I don't think they have a clue, because the contractors have not, working in those neighborhoods, have not brought it to their attention. So that's important to us. Thinking that that's the case, it's important to us to bring that to their attention.
Yeah. Okay. All right, moving on.
Weekend review, Scotty. What did you do this week?
I think I haven't had enough coffee to remember what I've done this week. It's been a doozy. There's been a lot of wind, a lot of hail this season.
We had a lot of rain last night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My wife said we got 5 inches at our house.
No way.
That's what she said.
I was wondering because I mean it rained for 4 or 5 hours at my house.
Well, yeah, my original title to this week's View from the Rooftop was going to be "Call the Roofer," because pretty much everybody's calling a roofer for some reason or another, whether it's wind damage, hail damage, or a leak in the house.
I'm happy to report no leaks in our house.
That's awesome.
That's good to hear, Rick.
You know, it's really funny because we're getting calls on roofs that we built years ago.
Over a decade and a half ago.
Yeah, we're getting calls on roofs we built a long time ago, and the leaks. There's a leak here, a leak there, or whatever. They're masonry issues where the masonry is deteriorating, where they have cracking, they have spalled brick, they have mortar missing, they have, their chimney caps or crowns, things like that. And what's happening when we're in periods like this, like last night, we talk about this all the time. Brick is not waterproof; it's water resistant.
Right.
All right. Brick is, to some degree, is like a sponge. It's going to repel what it can, then it starts absorbing what it can, and then at the point of saturation, that water starts coming out. Well, when that water starts coming out on the inside of that masonry face, it is inside our flashing details, all right? There's nothing we can do about that, all right? It is inside of our flashing details, and will end up on your ceiling or on your floor or someplace that you don't want it to be. We see that a lot. We also have people that have stucco on their roofs, that the stucco was not there when we did their roof. They have come back and had someone apply stucco over either the old siding or something else, was not properly flashed at that. No one ever called us as a roofer to go out and make sure that that detail was done correctly.
Right.
And it was not. And now that water is behind the stucco.
Right.
Okay. They call the roofer, but it's not the roofer. Okay. We got.
It's always the roofer's fault.
Well, it's always the roofer. Yeah, it's always our fault, and we're happy to take that. Got a call last week. Carly sent me the pictures, and the lady sends pictures of this driving rain against a window on a dormer. And you can literally look at the dormer, and you can see the 1/4-inch gaps in the caulking all the way around the window on the dormer, and you can see where the glazing on the window pane itself has cracked out and broken, and literally water is pouring inside and around that window. But the roofer got the call, So
Right.
we understand all that. We understand all that.
So you mentioned the way brick works.
Yeah.
To resist water and absorb it.
Brick, stone, cement, stucco.
What I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of painted brick?
Painted brick?
Yeah.
Maintenance nightmare. I mean, that would be my opinion.
Besides just having to repaint every few years?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, from that standpoint, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a real issue with painted brick. I can tell you that 99 out of 100 painted brick homes or structures were not done correctly.
Okay.
They were not, if you're talking about something that was done after the fact, it wasn't properly cleaned and then allowed to dry. It was not properly primed, and then they didn't use the proper quality of a paint product that's intended for masonry surfaces, and it's good enough. It looked great when they finished the job, but easily within a few years, it's already starting to show that you might have gotten a great price, but you didn't get a great product. So anyway,
I say, what's the point? Brick is brick.
Yeah.
A lot of people are eroding especially these young millennial first-time homeowners are eroding the natural, traditional aesthetic of beautiful brick products.
Yeah, we like our red dirt around here, don't we?
Yeah.
So I mean, that
painting
red,
it white, painting
that
it
red
gray
clay
seems to be
brick
the thing to do.
All right, so let's take our final break. We'll be back after these quick words. You're listening to McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma on Freedom 96.9. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. He's Scott McCullum, and he's Scotty McCullum. Retro Radio Randy still waiting for you to call 405-608-4377.
He's getting lonely.
Update on the trivia question. Last call for the trivia question when we come back. Homer Stacy was a wholesome, good American kid from Texas. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the United States Army Horse Cavalry and was stationed at Fort Bliss. Homer was fascinated with aircraft, so he went to flight school and became an Army Air Corps pilot. Homer Stacy flew a Convair B-24 Liberator, the Yankee Doodle Dandy, on November 11, 1943, when his crew, along with 31 other bombers, destroyed a ball-bearing plant in occupied France. On a return trip, a mechanical failure caused the Yankee Doodle Dandy to drop out of formation, leaving it vulnerable, and shortly thereafter, 7 German Me-109s shot down the plane near Andano, Italy. 4 crew members were killed on board, the others parachuted. 1 was captured and taken prisoner. Homer was among the remaining 5 who made it to Switzerland and returned to duty. Homer Stacy survived World War II, the Korean War, and retired after 23 years of service with many awards and commendations, including the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Purple Heart, and multiple air medals. Homer Stacy McCullum, Scott McCullum's dad. Scott McCullum is McRoof. McRoof.us is owned and operated by the McCullum family, an honorable, trustworthy red, white, and blue family. If you want to fortify your property, call McRoof.us at 405-877-4663. Ask for your complimentary roof inspection performed by a credentialed Hague residential inspector. McRoof.us, saving lives and protecting property by fortifying Oklahoma, one roof at a time. Fortifies Oklahoma back on the air for the final segment of this morning's live show. On this date of June 27th, 1942, early years of us being in the World War II, the FBI captured 8 Nazi saboteurs from a submarine off the coast of New York's Long Island.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I remember.
You remember reading
I
about
remember
it.
the history of it.
Yeah. On this date in 1950, North Korean troops reached Seoul, Korea, causing the UN to ask member states to aid South Korea. And so Harry Truman ordered the U.S. Air Force and Navy into the Korean conflict on this date of 1950. And then
I remember that one too, reading all my daddy's stuff.
And then on this date, this is a sad date in this year of the commemoration of the 100th anniversary of Route 66. But on this date in 1985, Route 66 was decommissioned. It lost its protected status.
Yeah, interesting.
A lot of it, but I'm so glad that
There's still a lot of elements.
the celebration is a year long and grand, and people from all over the world are coming here to travel Route 66 and enjoy all of that. And the Big Boot got dedicated this past week at the Cowboy.
Yes, it did. Now, is that a different boot? Is that the same boot that was supposed to go down off of Classen?
Yeah, that's the same boot.
That's what I was thinking. It was the same. And I told Wanda that. She said, no, that's a different boot. I said, no, it's not.
It is
same
the
boot.
same boot, and
Anyway.
it's really much
Restyled a little bit. but-
much more appropriate to be out at the Cowboy because that was actually the route of 66.
Yeah, right.
Back in the day.
Right.
Not that 23rd Street was
Right.
for a short period.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
moving on. Back to roofing.
So, Scotty, what I want to talk about a little bit is you our team, Johnny, Carly, Wanda, everybody has orchestrated a lot of what I call wins, changed outcomes for our clients over the last couple of months. And I'd just like for you to talk for just a minute about kind of a few of the things we talked about at breakfast this morning, what you do, how you do it, how that gets responses in a different way, and how we move things forward for our clients. Just for a minute.
Well, everything we do stems from values, standards that we possess as a company, and we stick to those standards. That's important in business, and that's important in life, but there's a lot of companies that operate out there, they're just chameleons. I think we used that word a few weeks ago. They're chameleons because they shape-shift and blend into the landscape as appropriate or as needed to dive into this niche or that niche or help this client or win this bid or get this job.
To line their own pockets.
But it's because they're looking at a particular project. They're not they're operating on a transactional basis without a set of fairly stringent codes to operate by. And a few of our standards are integrity, education, insurance expertise, documentation, the quality of the documentation that we provide, being respectful to our clients and to insurance carriers. Because at the end of the day, you've heard Scott talk about the edge of the coin. That's just a ridiculous oversimplification of what we tried to do because, try to put a coin on its edge. It's not going to happen. But it's a really, I think, a very fitting analogy for us to aspire to as a company, a good mental picture, because there's two sides to every coin, and there's an edge. And the edge is what provides a base that if a coin could stand on its edge, that's where it would do so. And that is a flat level. If you equate that to to characteristics of an individual or of a business, that would be something that's someone or a company who operates fairly, honestly, with integrity, tries to educate all individuals that are a party to any particular project, and treating people with respect. And that's what it really all boils down to. And I think that it just, I don't know what the word is. When we talk with an insurance carrier, when we talk with a client, when we talk with an inspector who's an agent of a third-party agent hired by an insurance carrier, any of our vendors, and when we talk with people in our say at the CIB or anybody in a regulatory position or an oversight type position, I think they can tell the companies, if they've been around the block for a little while, they can tell a company or a contractor or an individual who represents a contractor who operates who's honest, who has integrity, who cares to educate the people that they interact with, who tries to do things with utmost quality and attention to detail. I think that's most people have a good enough idea of what those things require to know that when they're talking to us or any other really good contractor out there, that's who they're talking to, and that they're not talking to somebody who's trying to pull the wool over their eyes, or whatever other analogy you want to use. I think I've rambled, but I think it's kind of obvious. I think everybody out there knows what I'm really talking about. Is that we trust our instincts, or we rely on our instincts a lot to govern the decisions that we make and who we do business with, who we interact with, who we align ourselves with in terms of a particular type of project. And we're not for everybody, but for the people who want quality, attention to detail, education, insurance expertise, fairness, respect, to be treated, like a friend or a member of the family, then we tend to be for those kind of people.
I love Scotty getting into the edge of the coin, and I love that. Where I wanted him to go is that we got a lot of people who got denials initially on their insurance claims after we had suggested to them that they had a valid claim.
Right.
And in, almost without exception, the end result of that, through what Scotty does or Johnny does or we do as a team, as a family, we have reconstructed that entire thing and orchestrated the scenario in such a way that the ultimate outcome for our clients was that the initial claim decisions were overturned, were reversed, that the roofs that we thought should be bought and paid for were bought and paid for. And then we've been able to go through to do the supplementation and add the code items, the other things that are required. And at the end of the day, our clients will have a code-compliant systems roof installed exactly the way it's supposed to be installed, and they will receive a full, fair, and just compensation from their insurance carrier. That's what we call wins. That's what we do, and Scotty's the master at it and has taught a bunch of other people how to do that as well. So,
all right, so we have to quickly go to Benny. And Benny, we don't have time for a story. A, B, C, or D?
D, over 40%. I probably got it wrong, but that's my swing.
Nope, you got that one right.
he did.
He got it right.
Ding, ding,
Good
ding,
for you,
ding,
Benny.
ding. Way to go, Benny. Way to
ago.
go. So 44.4% of every roof in Oklahoma, all right, was exposed, damaged by 1 inch or greater hail in 2025. There's only one state that suffered more damage than Oklahoma. We suffered $2 billion worth of damage in 2025. Kansas suffered $2.4 billion of damage in 2025. And in Kansas, over 50% of their roofs were impacted by severe hail in 2025.
Wow. Man. Hey, I got to get this in before we run out of time. S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 8000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing.
Thanks for calling, Benny. I saw Randy hang up the phone just now because I guess you had jumped off the line, but we always love hearing from you.
Okay, and in 30 seconds or less, surviving the storm tip.
Well, it's we think we're really close to being after the storm for a few months now.
Okay.
So if you haven't had that evaluation done, if you haven't had your Roof RX inspection, or if you haven't had a qualified person like Scotty McCollum or Johnny Nicholas or one of the McRoof folks on your roof, now's the time to do it. It's the time to assess what Mother Nature did to you this spring and to start preparing. If you didn't have significant damage, start preparing to get your home ready for the fall hail and the winter.
Another tip, very quickly, there's an awful lot of door-knocking contractors out there, even in the most nice, high-end neighborhoods in Oklahoma City. Do your research, please. Before you decide you're going to let that individual on the roof, just grab your smartphone, look up their company, at least do that and see what Google says about them. If you want to go any further than that, fine. But if you're going to let somebody on the roof that's knocking at your door, you may get what you pay for.
Okay.
Yeah, the last thing we're going to say
Dad's
is that
wisdom.
If you replace what just failed you, you're making a mistake. Dad's wisdom, no good deed goes unpunished. Now, we know that's really not true, but it certainly feels like that at times.
McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma. This has been episode number 64. Thank you, Scott McCullum. Thank you, Scotty McCullum. Thank you, Retro Radio Randy.
Thank you, Benny.
And thank you, Benny. We'll be back next week with another edition. Hey, it's going to get really hot and steamy this week. Stay cool. Well, always. Just stay cool, man.
Yeah.
Just be cool. Have a good week, everybody.
KQOB Enid, Oklahoma City, 2026. A celebration of freedom and the open road. Oklahoma's talk radio. The new Freedom 96.9.